I'm Omar, the son in the Pops and Son TV show.
And I'm Adrian, the Pops in the Pops and Son TV show where real estate is our passion.
Are you interested in your first time buying a home?
Join us for today's episode where we share our pro tips and how to deal with scenarios like this and much, much more.
And we have Gary Axelbank joining us.
Back to the Pops and Son TV show where real estate is our passion and empowering our community is what drives us.
That's right. Each week we bring you real stories and expert insights to help you understand and navigate the world of real estate. And today we're diving deep into the journey of first-time homebuyers.
That's correct. We've got some incredible professionals joining us. People who have helped hundreds of families get the keys to their very first homes. If you're thinking about buying, this is the episode you want to watch from start to finish.
And it gets better because today we're also introducing someone truly legendary.
That's right. It's an honor for my son and I to welcome the Bronx icon, a man who spent over 45 years in front of a camera, giving our community access to smart, thoughtful conversations.
He's world famous and he's one of our own. The voice of the Bronx, the host with the most, Mr. Gary Axelbank.
Gary, welcome to the show. We're proud to have you and joining us on the Pops and Son TV show.
Well, your comments were a little much for me, but I certainly appreciate them. It's very exciting to do this. The reason it's very exciting to do this, housing is a very big thing in the Bronx. People who watch my other programs know that to be the case. And in order to figure out how to get yourself situated, as the gentleman said, this is the program to watch. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to go around. Everybody's going to get a chance to. Let me introduce all the guests first. So we met Pops and Son. That is, of course, Omar and Adrian. We appreciate you joining us. A mortgage banker is with us. That is Ed Angelino. Nice to see you, Edward.
Glad to be here.
And Mr. John Felix is a home inspector. Thank you for joining us.
That's a pleasure.
Pamela Peralta Esquire, a lawyer with Carafano Law Office. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We've got a whole range of people who can deal with every single aspect of the issue of figuring out how to be a first-time home buyer. So we'll start with you, and everybody's going to get a crack at this. What is the biggest mistake that you see first-time home buyers make?
They don't call me and my son. They don't hire us. You got to hire a professional, and it's always important to start where it doesn't cost you anything, just good information that you're going to get. And usually you're going to have 4 or 3 people involved, which will be the mortgage lender, which we have here today, an inspector when you find a property that me and my son would take you and show you, and then the banker who's going to address all the little nuances that you want corrected, that the inspector might have found, a tenant that's in the apartment, and they'll do all that paperwork. But the most important thing, Gary, is to call us.
Omar, before we ask you, let me interpret the question just a little bit. What should a first-time home buyer absolutely do before even starting to look at homes?
They really need to get informed. You know,
that's what we're here for.
Of course, and that's why I think they need to be watching this program. Beyond just calling us, they need to just find help. It doesn't have to be from a realtor, although, of course, we bring them the deals. We try to negotiate on their behalf. But they need to get, legal help. They need to get financial help. And they obviously need an inspector. So they need to know the full steps.
We're going to talk to an inspector in a moment.
Absolutely.
Mr. Angelino, from your perspective as a mortgage banker, what's the mistakes that they made? What is it that they do that you say, oh, don't do that?
I think the biggest mistake is not starting soon enough. A lot of people will wait until they'll look on the internet for houses, and then they'll see something they really like, and they want to jump in and buy that house, go see that house, and they haven't been pre-approved yet. My biggest concern with that is the fact that they don't start early enough because, if we start early, we can see anything that, maybe you have a credit issue, maybe you have something that needs to be fixed. Let's get that done early as possible so that we can get you ready to go to purchase the house.
The subtext of what you said is what we've established as the theme of what we're doing. Get the information first. Mr. Inspector, Mr. Felix, now, so they look at a house or they look at a property and then they say, well, I love this, but how do we know that it's according to form so that they can actually occupy it?
Right. I think, one of the biggest things is to understand the property and how it's being kept, right? Because someone else probably lived there before, or it's probably a new build. So understanding what you're getting into is always the key. And so when you do your home inspection, it's just a matter of understanding the components of your home, understanding if it's energy efficient, if your systems are running properly. That way, when you move in, it's just, a smooth transition into your new home with your family.
So contact an inspector before you even sit down and start to do the paperwork.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's fascinating. Ms. Peralta, I'm sure you see people who come and say, we love the house. Mm-hmm. What's the mistake that they made when they get into your office? And you say, well, wait a minute.
Well, thank you for the question. I think for us is that we like, as attorneys, to be involved as early as possible. And I'm not talking about contract phase. I'm talking negotiation phase. To do that will help tremendously to make the first smoother transaction. When clients are waiting to hear, hey, how are the terms of the contract? Well, you already negotiated those terms a month ago, essentially 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And so bring us on as early as possible, and we can kind of help with hashing out those points beforehand.
Well, one of the themes that's emerging is early start. Don't just walk down the block and say, oh, I like that house, and then do it, but do the research and do a little background. So, Mr. Angelino, let's just talk to you. How does a buyer know how much they can really afford? A lot of people say, well, we can figure it out. Maybe we have the money now. We don't have enough for a down payment, but we'll deal with it. We'll borrow a little. How do they figure out what their financial package, what a realistic financial package is?
That's what we do. So
give Ed a call, folks.
Right. So we ask for their 2 years tax returns, W-2s for 2 years, pay stubs, and bank statements. Then we take that information and we determine what their monthly income is, and we run a credit report, see what their monthly debt is, and then we ask them, how much are you working with for down payment and closing costs? And sometimes they'll have it all ready to go. Sometimes they'll say, well, I might need this amount, I could get a gift, and we give them the options of how they can get the money, if it's not all in the bank right now.
Which I'm guessing in most cases is the case, that people don't necessarily have $400,000 in their bank account.
Yeah, yes, that's true.
Some people probably do. All right, I don't want to be naive about it, but really, that's...
Well, you don't need 400,000 either. You could do it with less. There's multiple ways. We'll tell them suggestions such as, taking money out of a 401k as either a loan or a hardship withdrawal. Gifting from relatives is probably half the deals that we do.
Wow.
And
let me ask you this. Somebody says, well, I don't really have a good credit score. I mean, does that matter? Is that a big thing? Is that all of a sudden, well, that's it, goodbye, get out of here? Or what do you do?
No, we'll take a look at the credit and we'll see what, if it's not good, we'll tell them what to do to get the scores up. We don't just tell them goodbye. It's
the objective is to try to figure out how to make it happen.
Right.
That's what I think we all want to be encouraging to all the people who are watching.
I think a lot of people don't know what's involved with their credit. Some do, but not a lot. When we run it, we tell them, lower your balance on this credit card or that credit card. Or maybe they had something on the credit report that they didn't even know about, such as a collection account or
Could be
so
anything.
it could be anything.
Yeah. Mr. Felix, let's just talk with you for a moment. What are the things we said that they should go talk to an inspector beforehand? What are the kinds of red flags that they see at the beginning? So then, like what is common especially in this day and age, and of course in the borough of the Bronx?
Well, things that are common, I think, in the beginning, initially, when you're looking at a house, is leaks, right? Bad plumbing, stains on walls, cracks on walls.
Which is an indication that there's something hiding behind.
There's something behind that, right? So it could just be settling. It could just be movement in general that's just happening from, a bad slope around the property,
Right.
or maybe excavation that was done, beforehand. Or water just getting into your basement, right? So there are things that one can identify during the process of scouting out a property, right? And then there are items and things that we can identify once we start diving into them a little deeper during the inspection phase. But I think, coming in and looking at a house at first glance, there are a couple of indicators that one can catch when looking at a property.
Even before they see the inspector.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what are those kinds of things? So if they see, for example, water on the walls, they should either bring an inspector in or say, thank you very much.
Well, obviously, if you look at the house from outside and your roof is damaged, that's a big indicator.
You're going to need a new roof.
And you're going to need a new roof. So it's costly. Most people will entertain that. Some folks will walk away from that, right? So that's a big indicator. Going into your basement, if you see active water leaks, then that's an indication that there's something wrong with your foundation. Then you got to decide whether I'm going to walk away from it or face it head on, right? Because not everything is repairable. It's just how much skin do you want to put into the game.
And which would bring us back to our mortgage banker. Let's just say that somebody says, I love this house. This is a great house, but they notice there's a problem with the roof. Maybe there is a plumbing situation or some of the other things, an electrical situation, could be any number of things. And then they come back to you and say, I want to figure out how to get this. You can help them figure that out. Or somebody's got to price, the cost of the repairs first. I mean, how does that work? And are there people who want to sell houses that are not ready to be sold?
Well, we'll do that as a collaboration between the realtor and the home inspector, and we'll see if, we'll see if the seller wants to pay for some of it. If they don't and the buyer still wants the house, then maybe they put a little less down and have the rest to do the repairs. There's a number of ways to do it. Then there's also renovation loan. If the house is in disrepair, you can get a 203K renovation loan to
See,
buy the
that's a
house.
really important bit of information, because people may say this is the house we want. It's in the right location. It's in the right neighborhood. There are some problems here. Seeing you and seeing others like you, they could figure out how to get it, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Well, there is a thing called the law, and
Which is
Mr.
important.
Peralta, what do you see that people don't know about, or through this process that we just heard about, that they're trying to sort it out? What do you see?
So I think it's interesting to me when clients can see a home they think is ideal, and they want to turn around and sign contracts because they're so enamored with the gloss and the nice, and you're not doing your inspection.
Write me up. They say,
So
"Come on."
when I have a client coming to my office and telling me we want to sign contracts and we're waiving inspection, for me that's a little red flag.
Yes.
I'm not there at the
And
property.
people actually say that?
I have had clients who
People
do it all
say
the
we're
time.
waiving inspection of a home
They're
they
willing
want
to
to buy?
waive inspections.
Okay.
They're willing to waive inspections, and
Boy, am I
mostly,
glad we're doing this, because I'm a novice. That's a big mistake. Go ahead.
I
sorry.
think it's a huge mistake, especially if you're talking about a home. Perhaps for co-ops, you have some flexibility. You understand that their liability is a little bit smaller. When you're talking about a single-family, multifamily home, and you're doing no inspection because you want to outbid the very next buyer, you're really walking into a potential problem. And as an attorney, I can only protect you to the extent that I'm informed. So I have to rely on my colleagues, my professionals next to me, and say, hey, what do you have coming in as, per the inspection report that I need to be aware of, so that I can have a punch list for repairs, or renegotiate perhaps some of the terms, or a credit, or even the price. So it's very important.
Are there clauses that people, first-time buyers, don't understand, or like what's the biggest hook that's out there that they'll come in and say, "Hey, we thought this," and then you say, "Well, that's really
Well, two
not
things.
happening."
Twofold. When it comes to the beginning of the process, I think what a lot of clients are misunderstanding is the pre-approval versus a commitment.
Right.
A lot of clients are walking away, and I can't tell you how often they call me and they say, "Well, we've been already approved." And I'm like, "Well, that's not possible because you haven't gone through the underwriting department. You haven't submitted for an appraisal. You haven't submitted for all sorts of things that we are looking for in order for a commitment." So that's one thing.
You know, I have to ask you this because people will say, "Okay, well, so we've got an inspector, we're working with a broker. It costs something to bring in a lawyer, but that has to be viewed as part of the whole package, right?"
Right.
I mean, and I'm assuming, Ed, that's the kind of thing that you say, "Hey, you're going to have to get a lawyer involved to really cut this deal right."
Absolutely.
Well, in New York, what do we do as attorneys? We make ourselves important and necessary. So you're required to have an attorney whether you like to or not. So you're going to have to hire counsel to go through the process.
I'm going to turn to my right and talk to Pops and Son here. Adrian, let's just, what have you heard here that rings the bells that you want to make sure our friends and neighbors in the Bronx hear?
Everything that they have said is 100% correct.
Okay.
It really, really is. A lot of people are confused. They think a pre-approval is actually the commitment from the bank. And as our attorney, Pamela Peralta from Carafano Law has explained in clear details, that is not the case. We're waiting for a clear to close date. And if you have the right team, where she can get a punch list together from the inspector, that they can correct these items, and you folks at home that you think you can't renegotiate at the attorney level, you're wrong, because we haven't signed contracts, and if there's something that sticks out, the attorney can create a punch list, discuss it with the seller's attorney to probably give what's called a concession, which is a discount on the price, so allow the homeowner probably to have some money to do the repairs and things of that nature. So these professionals that me and my son brought are experts. These are the top Bronx experts that I've brought. And the information they're sharing, you viewers got to get a pen and write it down.
Well, what they really want to write down is, let's get the website out there. It is
Yes.
the Pops and Son TV show at gmail.com. Same thing as the name of the show.
That's correct. It's the Pops and Son TV show at gmail.com. And we want you people at home to send us your questions. What I've come across a lot in the Bronx specifically are illegal basement apartments, right? In a one-family home or in a two-family home,
Of course.
right? So this is all where that 203K loan that Ed was speaking about, where if you want to rectify that violation.
A lot of people ask me in the other TV work that I do, how do you know when you've done a good show? I know when I've done a good show when I learned something. And in this case, the bottom line that I learned, I mean, aside from all the specifics, start early.
Yes.
And get to, you mentioned it, everybody said, the inspector said, get to me early before you move ahead. The attorney said, get to me early.
Gary, you know what's amazing to me? That the money that's involved in the transaction that the buyer is going to receive or that the seller is going to be on the hook for 30 years is so huge. It's so big that it's mind-boggling with the inspector. You don't get these people involved. It's really mind-boggling. Like the inspector can do a home inspection before you put your home on the market,
Right.
which I suggest that all the time to my sellers that are going to sell their property, so that you know up front where your home is weak in, where it's excellent in, so that when the buyer comes to negotiate, you have proof. Hey, I hired an inspector. I don't think I agree with what you're telling me. Why don't you hire an inspector to see? Because that's key. So also an inspection of a house before you put it on the market. That's a pro tip I'm giving you.
That's for the seller.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's correct.
Mark that down as something else Gary just learned.
To your point, I recently did an inspection with a client that hired me, and the first thing she said to me was, I am really looking forward to this inspection for two reasons. Number one, this is my second house. The biggest mistake I made on my first house was that I didn't get a realtor. And the second mistake is I waived my inspection to find out I had a flood in my basement a month after I bought it because the foundation was in bad shape.
Wow.
So she goes, now, this time around, I got my full team. I got my realtor, I got my attorneys, I got a good banker, and she was all set. She was really happy, and the process for her was moving really smooth. So to your guys' point and to what we're talking about here,
I have some agents and colleagues of mine that work with me. When they're showing buyers homes, and they'll put an offer in and waive the inspection to make their offer look better. So in other words, they're telling the home seller, listen, I'm easy. I'm not going to do an inspection. I love the house. I want it.
buyers are more.
So that to me is mind-boggling. Why would you instruct your buyer to do that?
Omar, we know that we have people here who are trying to help people make a deal, and they've talked about all the contingencies that can happen and ways to get advice, etc. But there are moments, let's be realistic, there are moments that somebody needs to walk away. When should people walk away from a deal and say, you know what, despite the great advice I've gotten, despite the opportunities, despite the reworking of my budget, et cetera, I don't think it's the right thing. What are those circumstances?
I think it really depends on the person and what they're looking for, because as Ed mentioned before, if a property is in real disrepair, you can get a rehab loan. To fix that up. But some people are not up to that challenge. They want to walk into something that they're able to just live in and plug and play. So for those people, you have to really assess what is the property that you're about to buy. Is it something that you're able to really take care of for the next 30 years or however long your mortgage is going to be? That's a real commitment people got to think about. And that comes from relying on professionals. We couldn't tell you all this just by ourselves. We had to really bring professionals from the Bronx to show you guys that, one person can't possibly know it by themselves. That's why you got to go with not one professional, but up to 4, maybe 5,
One thing that occurs to me from friends that I know and others who have looked through homes, sometimes they come furnished or partially furnished. Does that complicate things, or where is that at? And then maybe we should ask our mortgage broker about that as well.
I really wouldn't say that factors in too much. I think it becomes a hassle for most deals, because it becomes a question of who's going to.
Do I really want the couch?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Do you see that, Ed, a lot in this day and age in the Bronx?
Well, if the seller doesn't, sellers already moved out of the house, but they left the furniture because they bought all new furniture for the next house they're going to. They'll ask the buyer, "Do you want to keep it?" And sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So, but I don't see it as any problem or anything like that.
Well, what are ways that they can lower their mortgage rate that people don't think about? In other words, they say, "Well, wait a minute, that's the mortgage rate," and they think that's what it is. Maybe there's little play in there, and how can that happen?
Well, there's several different ways. One is get a higher credit score. The higher the credit score, the better your rate will be.
Yeah, as much as we said earlier, how much does the credit score affect? It really does affect.
And you should do it for your own purposes, because it affects, what you're going to pay on a car loan, what you're paying on credit cards, even insurance comes into play. I would always suggest try and get the highest credit score you can possibly get. That's one thing. Another thing,
and that's with good habits and good budgeting before the house thing and before the buying the house comes up. I mean, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to do it. Go ahead. I'm
Right.
sorry.
And then the second thing is maybe you want to put a bigger down payment. If you're putting down, say, 10%, you're going to have PMI, mortgage insurance. If you put down 20% or more, you're going to have no PMI. So that's one way to reduce the payment.
Mr. Felix, trends. Are there things happening in the Bronx that are happening now that people should look out for, or have we already reviewed it? Talking about the water, and the roof and things like that.
Yeah, there are some trends that we're catching.
What are those trends? And I think people would want to know what those are.
Social media, YouTube, right? There's a lot of DIY videos out there teaching people how to do certain things, and which is fantastic. It's phenomenal. I'm all for it. But certain things are best left to professionals. So electrical work, plumbing work,
of course.
Roofing,
right.
And waterproofing basements, extensions on homes, things of that sort, right? That can get into murky waters when not done correctly.
So then that question goes directly to Ms. Peralta about, are there things that have come up that you just said, this is not a good deal? Notice how I said that quietly. Just letting you know it's not a good deal.
The great news is, when I'm speaking with my clients, I'm doing so in confidence. And so I can tell them yay, nay, without feeling the fear of other professionals who are hoping that the deal would go forward. And we do too, right? Ultimately, we do our business if we actually close. However, there are sometimes when we have to tell a client, not necessarily don't go forward with the transaction, but at least inform them and say, here are all of the consequences if you go forward. And then the ball is in their court, right? And so now they can decide for themselves with the information we've gave them, should you move forward? And you're going to hear the language from me very strongly without telling them, hey, don't do it. I'm going to lay out the option, including the good option, if they want to go forward, what it's going to take for them to do so.
What do you think, Ed, your total sum of what you've heard today and the piece of information to the general public?
This has been great information for me. I love hearing other professionals in the business talk about it. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, if you're looking to purchase a home, start now, start early, and get the right lender. That's the key. A lot of lenders will only run your credit report and ask you what you make. They won't check anything else.
And that's a problem. Go ahead, Mr. Felix, your final word?
Yeah, final word is don't skip your inspection. It's super crucial to understand what you're getting into. Read your inspection report. Really ask questions to that home inspector. Walk with your home inspector. Understand everything that's going on. And always just rely on your team to know that they're working on your best behalf.
And Madam Attorney?
Since the clients are going to be making a huge investment, I also say keep in mind that you should be investing towards the best attorney that can help you. It should not be a negotiation with trying to reduce the price with your attorney. Because if I'm going to settle for the price, imagine what I'm going to do in terms of contract terms. We set our price for a reason.
Got it. Adrian, I want to ask you, how much should a buyer rely on Zillow, Redfin, and the other listing sites? Is that a way to go?
No. No, not at all.
In a word.
No, you just shouldn't. You got the professionals right in the office, right down the block.
Right here in front of you.
And right here in front of you. What I suggest is if you want to get a hold of these people that I brought on this show, for you guys, send us an email at the Pops and Son TV Show at gmail.com. And we got good information. Gary is a superstar expert, and he's one of us.
I'm an expert in knowing how to do television. I am not an expert in real estate. That's why I'm doing what we're telling our viewers to do, and that is listen to professional people. Omar, thank you very much for joining us. Adrian Romero, thank you.
Gary.
That's the Pops and Son. And then we'll go down the line. Ed Angelino, the mortgage banker, thank you. John Felix, a home inspector. And Pamela Peralta, Esquire, lawyer from Carafano Law Office. Thank you. You know what's going to happen, folks? We'll see you on TV somewhere on BronxNet. And really, be smart. The Pops and Son TV Show at gmail.com. That's how you get the information. Everybody, good night. Stay well.
Good night.
Thank you.